Finally, the time is upon us, and by upon us, I mean about a year or so away. That's right, James Cameron's long-anticipated Avatar 2 is finally set to hit the big screen on December 16th, 2022. Now I know that this can be a bit of a letdown on account of the fact that the film was more recently set to be released just a few months from now, on December 17th, 2021, but got sadly pushed back yet again. But we as fans have waited this long, I think we can wait one more year as long as the movie holds up to the bar that is set for itself. In the first movie, we were introduced to the Na'vi, the tribal inhabitants of the planet Pandora, who have a connection with their world that runs deeper than Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl. The ways of their people were so enchanting that it even turned one of their biggest threats into their biggest assets. Jake Sully was a former soldier from Earth who had been sent among the Na'vi as part of a recon mission. As Jake saw who the Na'vi were and how sacred their world was to them, he quickly grew close with them and ended up even referring to them as his people, and the humans as Sky People. While many familiar faces are going to be returning for the sequel, including Jake, we will also be seeing a ton of new Na'vi, including Jake's new family. In fact, there was already a picture released that immediately gained some fame, because it shows the group of young actors and actresses who are going to be responsible for bringing the children in Avatar 2 to life. For instance, we know that Jake is going to have multiple children, and that his eldest child, whose name is said to be Nitium, is going to be portrayed by Jamie Flatters. Meanwhile, Britton Dalton is going to be playing Loak, the second-born child, and the youngest, Tukitri, is going to be acted out by the young Trinity Bliss. As soon as the picture featuring them and a few other children surfaced, the world was ecstatic. And with this picture being released, we also got a pretty good amount of information about what we can expect to see in this movie, including an idea of the direction the movie will be going in. We know that the plot of the sequel is going to be set around, or involve, a second invasion from the RDA, the same greedy mercenaries that sent Jake to spy on the Na'vi. According to the few plot details that have been released to the public, the sequel is set to take place 12 years after the events of the first film, which ended with Jake's consciousness being transferred through the Iwa into his Na'vi avatar permanently. Since then, Jake and Neytiri settled down together and started a family of their own. However, their peaceful lifestyle is uprooted and threatened again when the RDA returns to Pandora once again, looking to conquer the world for its resources. Some are concerned that the plot is going to be too similar to that of the first film, but hopefully, if that's the case, the new characters and Jake's new lifestyle will add enough to the plot to make it feel fresh and new, instead of a rehashing of the first film. Just like in the first movie, the sequel will see Jake and Neytiri doing whatever they must do to ensure the safety of their family as well as their tribe, which supposedly means that they are going to end up leaving their jungle and exploring different lifestyles and regions of Pandora, as well as other tribes that we haven't seen from the original Avatar. Now, even though the plot of the sequel is being closely guarded, the little information they have released has left us expecting to see a lot of new aspects of the Na'vi's culture. Some even believe that we'll be exploring some of Pandora's 13 other sister moons that orbit the same planet Pandora orbits, or even the gaseous planet itself, Polyphemus. And another pretty cool thing? Avatar 2 is the first movie ever to use motion and performance capture technology underwater. That's right, any scene that we see happening underwater will actually have been shot underwater. In fact, the first Avatar film could have only ever happened through the use and invention of performance capture tech. There is absolutely no way the movie would have looked as good as it did when it was released in 2009, had they not come out with the technology. The same exact thing could be said for James Cameron's sequel, especially knowing that he planned from the very beginning to explore more of the world around the Na'vi on Pandora that we haven't seen yet. This meant he would need some newer upgraded technology to bring his ideas to life. And one of the main environments that he wanted to explore was an underwater ecosystem. And from the very beginning, he was against using CGI to create the world that he wanted the audience to see. This meant he had to help develop the software that would allow them to safely and effectively shoot scenes underwater while using performance capture tech. This means that Avatar 2 is going to explore a territory of the film world that is yet to be explored. It's truly going to be a work of art, and it's not even going to be the last one. Cameron has stated on countless occasions that the Avatar saga is going to span across 5 films, which means more deep dives into that universe for us. He really wanted to go big with this one. With the idea of more sub-stories being revealed over 4 more movies leaves quite a bit to the imagination as to where they'll go with the franchise as a whole. But with movies that have fan bases as large as Avatar, there are literally countless predictions as to where the saga will take us. In fact, there are 3 very popular ones out there that are actually very likely to happen in the rest of the saga. The first very strongly supported prediction actually has us looking at why humans would come back and reinvade Pandora. The prediction goes that for some reason, Earth is no longer a viable source to live on. Something that scientists in real life are beginning to predict is that at some point in the future, Earth is no longer going to be inhabitable by humans. There are many different reasons that could cause this outcome, whether it be some sort of nuclear fallout or something relating to the way that we've been treating our planet. But in either way, it's likely that it's not going to sustain us forever. And a lot of people believe that this future is going to bleed into the Avatar cinematic universe. As we know from the first film, the whole reason the humans were on Pandora in the first place was to mine for unobtainium. Unobtainium is a mineral in the Avatar universe whose name has been heavily criticized for not being very creative. But more importantly, it is a resource that the RDA believe could help the human race survive. And though we may have seen their plan fail at the hands of Jake Sully, causing humans to ultimately be forced off Pandora, it's likely that they still need the unobtainium in the second film, and after 12 years are more desperate than ever. It's been heavily predicted that the reason the humans are so dead set on returning for the life-saving mineral is because they have nowhere else to go. Most people believe that at this point, 12 years later, humanity is dying out and on the brink of extinction, and this wasn't helped when their supply of unobtainium was cut off. So now, the last remaining humans are back with a vengeance and nothing left to lose. Now, one thing that we know for certain is that the character Colonel Miles Korich has been confirmed to be making his return in Avatar 2 in some capacity. Although we seemingly saw his death at the end of the first film, it looks like that he either survived somehow or will be resurrected in some way, and Stephen Lang will once again step into the shoes of the villainous Colonel Korich. Reports are claiming that he is set to be the primary villain in the entire Avatar saga, so it's likely he will return with full force. But what's even more interesting is that a lot of his portrayal is said to require the performance capture technology that we were referring to earlier. This is leading a lot of people to predict that the character will likely return as some sort of mostly mechanical being. Think Star Wars. Though Vader was still human at his core, he was unable to function without his robotic limbs and breathing apparatuses. This is what many people believe is going to be the case with Korich. Obviously not to the exact specifications of Darth Vader though. He will most likely have lost a lot of function in his body after the fight with Jake and Neytiri, but his heart somehow remained beating. It is assumed that what was left of him would be placed in some sort of robotic suit, and he would survive as a half-human, half-machine, whose only agenda is revenge on the Na'vi who made him that way. Last but not least, the final prediction is actually not just for Avatar 2, but the Avatar saga in general. A lot of people are acknowledging how many different storylines you can fit into a franchise spanning across 5 films, and a lot of fans are hoping that they don't keep reusing the same antagonists and plot lines throughout the series. Lucky for them, it's likely and heavily predicted that the humans will not be the only threat to Pandora and the Na'vi throughout the series. As we know, it's been reported that Cliff Curtis is set to play the leader of a new Marine Na'vi clan that is going to be called the Metakaina. And people are thinking that since the different Na'vi clans don't usually associate with one another, it's likely that not all the varying tribes share the same ideals. What's cool about this is that it's leading fans of Avatar to predict 2 concepts for the future of the film. One of which is that a hostile tribe somehow falls under the influence of Colonel Korich and ends up becoming a serious threat for Jake, Neytiri, and their people. Another reason that a different tribe of Na'vi might turn against Jake is simply because he wasn't born a Na'vi. Sure, he is a full-blown member of their species now, but he was originally a human, and it wouldn't be uncommon for another tribe to find him and his family not to be pure. This could lead to a clashing conflict among the Na'vi themselves. The other major prediction in terms of an exterior threat might not even come from Pandora itself. Some people believe that the threat caused by the RDA might prove to be too serious, and little do the humans know, is that the Na'vi could potentially use the human space travel technology to escape Pandora, since they now have a former human, Jake Sully, on their side. This would give us a chance to explore the 13 other moons around Polyphemus, which is something that a lot of audience members are really hoping for. No matter how it happens, over the course of 5 movies, it is safe to assume that we will be coming across threats to Jake and his people that aren't human. At least, we hope so. No matter how you look at it, Avatar 2 is set to be one of the greatest films of the past 10 years, and it's still over a year away. And that's saying something. In terms of anticipation, it's clear fans have been waiting for what feels like forever for the sequel to its 2009 predecessor, but it's going to be worth the wait to see all of what Pandora has in store for us. But what do you guys think? What do you want to see throughout the Avatar saga? Let us know in the comments. That's all, Disney fans. Let us know what you thought of this video in the comments. And like and subscribe for more magically packed videos.